Hi, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Tara, and you're listening to the Rom-Com Detectives.
Welcome to Rom-Com Detectives, episode 63. The Dans are on the case. Today we'll be talking about the 7th episode of Lucifer Season 2, My Little Monkey. This episode originally aired on November 7th, 2016. It was written by Jen Cow and was directed by Tara Nicole Ware. Or is it Weir?
Probably Weir.
Weir.
Where? Sorry, Tara Nicole.
So, case briefing, there's two victims in this episode. There's Joe Fields and there's John Decker. Cause of death for both of them were gunshots. The motive for both of them was a cover-up. And the killer, I think, in both of them was Perry Smith, right? He's
I think
actually
so, yes.
the guy at the convenience store, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then guest stars, there were quite a few that I had to go through. Alex Fernandez, he played Perry Smith. He's from SEAL Team, Good Trouble, and he was in the OA, one of my favorite shows. And he has 161 acting credits, so he's been around. There's Charles Halford. He played Boris Sokolov, and he's from Outer Banks, SVU, Constantine, and The Event. There was Chris Payne Gilbert. He played John Decker. He does a lot of voice acting, but he's also been on Bosch, Bones, and Law & Order, and a bunch of other procedurals. There's Lobo Sebastian. He played Joe Fields, and he was on Aquarius, which is like a David Duchovny show, and also CSI Miami. And the guy who played Ronnie Lamb, his name is actually Ronnie. His name is Ronnie Jean Blevins, and he's been on shows like FBI International, Law & Order OC, Chicago Fire, and True Detective. So let's get to the episode breakdown. It starts with a flashback to John Decker's murder. Very sad. It was such a cute scene too, right? But I wanted to know, like, the convenience store guy had a grill right by his cash register. I was like, wow.
Is that common?
I know. I was like, yeah, short order cook and convenience store owner.
You know, the times are tough. You gotta be a multi-creator of everything.
That's some service, though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so John Decker, he's a beat cop. He's in uniform. He's giving the guy. The store owner makes him the grilled cheese that becomes like a thing in this episode, because I guess that's a sandwich that he really liked, and this guy made it special for him. But he gives him 2 tickets to Hot Tub High School. So at this point, I think Chloe's 16. It was when she was 16, right?
She's 18, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think 16-year-olds are allowed to be.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Silly me. But yeah, he mentions some funny business 15 minutes in, but he tells him to just tell Chloe it was a good movie because he's so proud of her. And like, would you do that if you knew your daughter had a nude scene? Would you, like, as much as you're proud of her, would you go give out tickets to people?
I mean, I can only speak as somebody who, you know, did an acting degree, and so during my time at school, there was a play actually where the 2 of the characters were going to be fully nude, and we had to basically, like, even though we were expected to audition for everything while we were there, we actually had to pass on that one if we didn't feel comfortable with it. And I was like, I don't care. And I didn't get in it, so I didn't actually have to find out if I would have been actually okay with being nude. But I think
you didn't have to audition nude, did you?
No.
Okay.
We just basically had to say, like, are you okay with nudity? And I was like, I think so. I don't know. And then I think, like, it would have been weird for me to be like, hey, Mom,
you wanna come see this play? You
boyfriend's dad.
some tickets. Hand these out.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I do think from what we have learned about Hot Tub High School, I don't think it was super gratuitous.
Yeah.
It it was just boobies, and maybe that's not such a big
And
deal.
it's taken off that Trixie watched it, I guess,
Mhm,
and she didn't
mhm,
really, like, say anything.
yeah. So, maybe he's trying to be supportive. He's already worked through his issues with his topless daughter. Yeah,
But, I mean, it's a cute scene.
it
It's
is.
actually pretty sweet, but then his smile drops because behind Officer Decker, there's a hooded robber, and he just shoots him right in the chest and proceeds to rob the store. And then that's when they bring us back to the present, and Chloe's really upset. She's on the phone with a prison warden because I guess the man who killed her father is going to be released. So she hangs up and she has to take a moment to gather herself because she's so upset. And then that's when Lucifer comes in. He's like,
I also like that she just hangs up on him, like, there's no end to the conversation. She's like,
yeah,
"You
yeah.
listen to me. No." Hang up. I'm like,
Well, because she plans to go down
"Goodbye."
there, right? Chew him out. But Lucifer's there and he's upset with Chloe because Chloe had told him, "Why don't you go at the last episode?" Right? He was like, "Why don't you have a therapist? Why don't you go talk to her?" And so he did,
And then
and
he
then that.
broke her.
And so he blames her for like Linda like canceling their session, and yeah, he's just all upset because that's the theme for the episode is Lucifer is just so upset that he's hurting people that he cares about.
Yes. That he's handling it entirely the wrong way. The Lucifer Morningstar, special edition is could this be my fault? No.
But I like how she just basically writes him off. She's like, I don't have time for you. I can't deal with you. And I like when she says, "You're too you."
I mean, there is a lot of him going on. Which also sparks the B plot of the
Yeah,
movie,
and
which is I
it's
mean, of the
so
show.
it's so awesome. I mean, it's a fan favorite, right? I mean, and
Mhm.
and they'd been like leading up to it, like with the weaponizer, with the way that they bonded over the movies. But this one just totally kicks it off, and it's so
Yes.
funny.
And what we're talking about is the Lucifer Dan bromance, 'cause
Yeah. So, but he's he notices that she's mad or she's upset about something. So he's like, "Oh, well, let's solve whatever this is because he needs a distraction." That's what Lucifer always wants, is distraction from his problems. She just like brushes him off, and Dan comes up and gives her a coffee just how she likes it, and she says thank you, and he offers to help, but she's like, "No, no, no, I got it." And she leaves. And Dan's like, "Something's really wrong." And he's like, "Oh, I hadn't noticed." 'Cause
Yes, Lucifer, we know. You're so far up your own butt that you don't notice.
but he does manage to realize that Dan noticed that something's wrong with Chloe, and it's so funny that that's what he picks up on. Not that Chloe is bothered by something, but that Dan noticed that Chloe's bothered by something.
Mhm, mhm.
So then we go to the prison, and Chloe's arguing with the warden because Joe Fields, her dad's killer, is going to be released to go to his granddaughter's christening. And he's like, "Well, it wasn't my call. He's been really good for the last 10 years." And then they show that the guy is actually being escorted out of the prison right then behind her, and he smirks at Chloe, and she just really upsets her. Lucifer calls Chloe because he's gotten an idea. He needs to be more like Dan, so he wants her permission to follow him around. She's like, "Yeah, whatever." And I don't think she realizes what she's agreeing to because she's so distracted. But it's so funny that he then looks down at Dan, and like you can see Dan looking up, and he's like kind of uneasy, right? Like,
He's like, "I
"Uh-oh.
feel a disturbance in the force."
Something's coming."
Oh god, it's Lucifer.
But Chloe is following the transport vehicle, which she's not supposed to do. But she sees it stopped on a side street, and she finds that everyone in the truck has been murdered. And then
Yeah,
so
you left out that victim. Poor old truck driver. He had a
I
family too,
know,
Crystal.
I know that that's true. Actually, there was the driver and the guard, right?
Yeah, just
Okay, so
massacre.
there are four victims then.
Mhm. Don't
My
worry,
apologies.
same cause of death, same murderer, it's all
Dan and Lucifer arrive at the scene, and Dan doesn't get why he's shadowing him. He's like, "Well, your approach to life intrigues me." He calls him the department bottom.
I I love the way Lucifer, and it's so clear in this episode, like, he has the most insulting way of saying things even
So
when
casually too, right?
just so casually, just, mm,
He
and
makes it
yet
he makes it sound like he's actually complimenting you, but he's totally not. Like,
yeah,
and
when you hear
and
the words, you're like, "Wait, did you just"
and I want to say that like I tend to think that the episodes written by Jen Kao are particularly funny. Like, she has some really good lines in this episode. Like the one where he's like, Dan is very helpful, like duct tape or a trusty socket wrench, and he wants Dan to show me how to be a tool.
And Dan is immediately like,
Huh?
"Dude."
But he's like, whatever, you follow my lead, and he's like basically setting the boundaries. He's the boss, and Lucifer agrees because that's what Dan would do. He would
Yeah.
agree.
I just have to say too that I love how it is so now that, we're in season 2, these characters all really are gelling, and it just cracks me up how well in the details you can see Tom Ellis as Lucifer playing, you
Playing
know,
Dan.
Dan, playing Kevin, playing Dan, really, and it's just the little tiny details are and how they build throughout the episode just crack me up every time.
And like even the callbacks with Ella, which I'll get to later, but Chloe fills them in as Ella does for Prince. Dan recognizes the man's name, the Joe Fields' name, and Chloe confirms that, yeah, that's the guy that killed her dad. And Ella can't believe that she caught the case. And I was just like, yeah, I don't think she caught the case. They wouldn't have given it to her, basically, right?
Mm-mm.
Because huge
The
conflict of interest.
just a minor conflict of interest, and she's like, "No, no, it's fine. I called it in." "Oh, yeah, because that's above board."
But Lucifer, he's all happy. He's like, "Oh, this is great." And everyone looks at him like, "Come on, man." And I love that he's just like so confused. He's like, "What? What did I say?"
Mhm. Aren't we not happy about this being
And did
justice?
you notice that he looks to Dan for a cue? Like, how am I supposed to be reacting, right? So he's already like following everything that he like looks to him. He's his role model here. So back at the station, Dan and Lucifer are talking to Chloe about what she was doing and why she was following the thing, the transport. And Lucifer is trying his best to say what he thinks Dan would say, which really irritates Dan. And Chloe just says she was so angry that she knows she was in the wrong, but she did it anyway.
Also, how Lucifer is totally mirroring Dan's body language. Like, he'll look over and Dan's, hands are folded on the table, so then Lucifer folds his hands on the table. It's just it's so funny.
The little touches are so good in
Mhm.
this. She says she's going to step away from the case because she understands the conflict of interest, and Dan reassures her that they're going to do their best. But he doesn't think Lucifer should be on the case, and Lucifer's like, "Yeah, I agree. We don't need a loose cannon. That's why I'm going to be Dan, so I can be on the case." Lucifer logic.
Mhm. It always makes
But
sense to him.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, Dan doesn't want to, but she specifically asked him to please work together. So he says okay. And then that's when Ella comes in and she reports that the only prince that stood out among the ones that she dusted for was for an ex-con named Rodney Lamb, who served time with Joe Fields. And then as Lucifer and Dan are leaving, this is the callback I was talking about, where Ella goes, "Oh, working on a new role." This goes back to the first episode when she was convinced
Mhm.
that Lucifer is a method actor.
Yes.
And like, I love the
Preparing
way he
for so long, for the long
yeah,
like, for the role that never materializes.
yeah, and I love the way he's so irritated, like, "Oh, not this again."
Mhm.
'Cause actually, didn't she also bring it up,
She has brought it
in
up
the
a couple times.
weaponizer? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I really like this little thing of hers where this is what she's convinced Lucifer's story is, that he's
Yeah.
just an
Sh
actor.
This is how she makes it make sense to her. The
And
actual
to
devil?
be fair,
No.
it does make sense, right?
In some ways, it makes more sense than reality.
Yes, yes. At home at the apartment, Chloe's cooking for Trixie. Maze comes in wearing a really risque black outfit, like lacy lingerie. And she's going for an interview at a school. I love Trixie, like looking at her like, "Do you even like little kids?"
Only you, kid.
But she tells Maze, because Maze is frustrated that she can't really find the right thing, and Trixie tells her, "My teacher says that you should do what you love. What do you love?" And when she doesn't know, Trixie tells her to just be herself.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about the sandwich, because this sandwich is like, it keeps popping up, and so I was looking at it very closely and I've done this before, but I hadn't remembered. But it's basically a combination grilled cheese, eggy in a basket,
Yeah.
and what do you call it in Canada?
Uh,
'Cause it's called a bunch of different things around the
it's
world.
yeah, I feel like the most common we might have stolen from the British, and they call it a toad in the hole, I think.
Oh, okay.
But egg in a basket is also I've heard, so
So the first time I heard about that was when I saw V for Vendetta.
mhm.
'Cause he makes that, right? He makes that for her, and so I tried it, and oh my god, it is so good. So if anyone's listening and you've never made this, you just use a cookie cutter and you cut a hole in one slice of bread and you crack an egg in there and you just cook the whole thing in with butter, and it is so good. It's
I
delicious.
I prefer my grilled cheeses as unblemished by egg.
Yeah, yeah, so like I said, it's a combination, and, like, she uses, like, it looks like sharp cheddar.
Yes,
She
as you
uses,
should.
like, grated cheddar. I use American craft slices.
Yeah, you do. Okay, so the key is you use the, like, Kraft single for the melty, but it doesn't
Uh-huh.
have very much flavor, so then you add sharp cheddar
Ah.
so that you get better cheese flavor without but you get the meltiness of
Mm,
this but I have never made it with Hawaiian bread, and I can only
yeah.
imagine that that would be phenomenal because that bread is just candy, basically,
Or,
so
like, even just brioche, because brioche is
Mhm.
kinda is similar, right? It's like a
Yeah,
sweet bread, so,
yeah.
yeah. It sounds yummy, and
I
and you
like how
see
we just whenever food comes up in this show, we go off on a, like, half-hour tangent, like, and furthermore
And she also sprinkles parsley on too, so.
yes,
And I think the Korean convenience store owner did that too in the beginning. He was sprinkling parsley on. So I
I
think
think
that's an
so.
important part of this particular sandwich.
Mhm. Don't you forget that. Meanwhile, Amenadiel would just add pickles.
Yes. Or maize.
Yeah,
Not even in the sandwich, just next to the
on the
sandwich.
side, yeah. And not a spear of pickle, a whole pickle. A
Yeah.
whole giant
Uh-huh.
dill pickle.
Okay, so Trixie and Chloe have a little conversation because she explains that this sandwich was very special because her dad would bring her one every Thursday after she had her acting class. And Trixie like asks, like, "Oh, how come you don't talk about him?" And she's just, what did she say?
Because she misses him so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she has some unresolved feelings and should maybe talk to Linda about that.
But the doorbell rings, so she goes to see who it is. Trixie goes in her room, and it's this woman who pulls a gun on her. It's Joe Fields' daughter, and she's clearly not really the criminal type because her hand is like shaking like crazy as she holds this gun on Chloe. But she thinks that Chloe murdered her dad. But she doesn't believe that her dad killed a cop, and she mentions that her dad's lawyer had sent her a video that she was supposed to get if he ever died. So next we have Lucifer and Dan meeting in front of Pink's. And Lucifer tells him, "Well, this is good because I had to go do a costume change." And that's when Dan realizes that Lucifer's now dressed like him.
I mean, for somebody who gets so offended every time Ella accuses him of being a method actor, he is going rather method on his dansformation.
His transformation. But okay, so the reason they're meeting in front of Pink's, and I do want to note that I think it was the last time I went to LA. I specifically wanted to go to Pink's because of this scene, this episode. So I actually have a picture of myself standing in front of there, and we ate there and everything. So their hot dogs are really big.
That's what she said.
But yeah, so Dan has learned that he eats there all the time. So it's like lunchtime. So they're waiting around to see if he shows up. He says he's obsessed with the place. And he's like warning Lucifer to take things seriously because the guy's got a violent record and he might do something. He even mentions he might take a hostage.
Mhm.
And right on cue, Lucifer's like, "Well, there he is."
Eating a hot dog, leaning against a car, totally.
And he doesn't look violent at all. He looks like he's
No.
just enjoying his hot dog.
Yeah.
So he goes up to him. He's like, "Well, I just wanted one last meal." He actually offers his hot dog to them. And Lucifer grabs it and says, "No, thank you. We're not doing carbs, right?" I guess he's been observing Dan and his diet and everything.
Yeah.
But the look that Dan gives him, like, really? You're even like paying attention to what I eat?
It's funny because so many times Lucifer, like, he doesn't pay attention to like this obvious thing, but then you realize that he's been paying attention to the things nobody else notices, like the fact that apparently Dan is,
Not
low
eating
carb right
carbs.
now. Just don't do that to yourself, Dan. Life is too short.
But
Eat the
just
carbs.
Dan's like realization that, oh my god, Lucifer is stalking me.
Yes. And it's a little single white female. He is now dressed as him. His hair is parted
Yeah.
the same way, which just cracks me up. And yeah, so Dan is feeling it at this moment.
So then it goes back to Chloe. She's watching the video that Joe had left for his daughter. And on it, he's saying that if you're watching this, I'm dead. And that he wants her to know the truth that he didn't actually kill John Decker. And so Chloe's like, well, this doesn't prove anything because and yeah, that's true because anybody can make a video and say, I didn't do it. That's not exactly proof. But then she notices she notices the time on the background, and then I mean she can check the date on the video too, right? On the file. And she basically figures out that and Tina she asks Tina where that is, and she says, "Oh, that's in our apartment." And so that's how Chloe figures out
For the
that
first time in this show, distances matter. Because let's be honest, if Chloe and Lucifer needed to be across town in 3 minutes, it would have happened.
Yep.
However, in this case, no. He cannot get across town.
It's not possible.
It's not the traffic, I tell you, the traffic.
Okay, so next we have the Dan's interviewing Rodney, who says, "I killed Joe Fields for disrespecting me." And he's like bragging about it, and like Lucifer is, he's basically like, "Yeah, we solved it, man." But
Yes.
Dan's like, he's like catching him in a bunch of lies, like giving him details and like tripping him up, and the guy doesn't know anything about the actual like crime that he's confessing to. It seems like so he's not nearly as prepared as Joe Fields was for his own crime.
No.
He tries to get him to tell them like why he, because he's like, why are you confessing to a crime you clearly didn't commit? And so when he's like about to leave because he won't answer, Lucifer's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take off my Dan costume for a little bit.
Pause.
And he uses his power on Rodney. He asks him,
Because Dan couldn't do that.
yeah,
Like, no, you
yeah.
have to stop being Dan. Like, I love that Lucifer's like, wait, no, wait. I have to be myself again.
Yeah, he has to announce it.
I don't want you to think that I think that you can do what I do. We can't. Just a second. I'm going to be Lucifer for a second. It's just, he has such, in Lucifer's mind, there's so much logic to this insanity, and it just is so funny.
But he asks him like what he wants, and he says that he wants to be able to provide for his family. And then Dan latches onto this, and he's like, "Oh, but he realizes that this guy is confessing because he wants to go back in prison because now that he's out, he says he's not anybody, and he can't provide for his family. So he like breaks down like that he was desperate for money, and he put it out there that he wanted, and then finally someone contacted him. Lucifer goes right back to mimicking Dan. He puts the Dan suit right back on.
He zips it up.
So next we have like another side plot going on, and this one is really sweet, right? It's
And
the maze.
sad. And
I
like,
know.
it's, that's, I mean, when the show is hitting all its notes, it's just like you've got the absolute, there's this devastation of Chloe dealing with her dad's death.
Yeah,
And then you've got Lucifer pretending to be Dan, which is comedy gold.
gold.
And then you have this like tremulous kind of Maze trying to figure out her place in the world. And yeah, Linda, who is still struggling with the revelations of the previous week.
Yeah, so she knocks on her door. She wants a character reference for all these jobs that she's trying out. And Linda's hiding inside. She makes a mistake, and she like touches the latch, so Maze knows she's in there. And then when she turns around, Maze is sitting on her desk. She's like, "Can you teleport?"
And Maze is like, no.
Your window was open. I love that.
Poor Linda.
But
And it's so good. Linda is so good in this episode because,
yeah,
like, she's
she's
freaking
terrified.
scared.
Yeah, she's so scared. And she probably feels so stupid too, right? Because all this time she's been like yelling at Lucifer and Maze and scolding them about everything
Yeah.
and telling them that they're such crap at like coming to terms with their feelings. And she's probably thought back to everything she's ever said to them, right? Like,
Yes.
how could I have been saying these things to these people?
I love the moment where Linda says to her, you're a demon. And then she's like, I thought it was a sexual metaphor. And Maze is like, wow.
It still works.
A little of this, a little of that.
I love the moment when Maze realizes why Linda's acting like this. She's like, "Oh, you know." But
Yeah.
she is so like I like that she has like this childhood like childlike optimism that like we're still friends, right? And so
Yeah.
she can't believe that Linda's actually afraid of her, and she's so hurt when Linda opens the door and tells her to go. And oh,
I
it's
know.
so
It's
funny too because Maze has obviously caused a lot of people a lot of pain, and yet she's like still trying to find her way in this place that
mhm.
she's stuck in, basically.
She's like, I would never hurt you. You're my friend. Meanwhile, poor Linda's like,
So Chloe arrives at the station. She tells the Dans that Joe didn't kill her father, that he confessed in exchange for payments, and they tell her that Rodney was doing the same thing for Joe Fields' murder, and they compare payments between both spouses, and they say it's the same account. And then I noticed that there's a production error here because when they're looking at the statement for the payments for John Decker's murder, the account that they were sending the money to was to Jennifer Lamb. But Lamb is the name of the guy who was confessing to Joe Fields' murder, not John Decker's murder. So that probably should have been Jennifer Fields, not Jennifer Lamb. And then the other thing that kind of bothered me was I think Chloe says that the Fields didn't touch the money and that it was all still there
yeah,
because they thought it might be stolen. And I was just like, wait, so your dad goes to prison to provide money for you and you don't even use it? So why did he stay in prison that whole time? I was like, that doesn't make sense.
no.
Like all that money has just been going to the account and like you just left it there for 16 years?
I mean, to be fair, she's loaded now.
What do you mean?
Well, because the money is still there. So,
Oh.
like, that's just been sitting there
But
accumulating.
it just feels like it just feels like he did it all for nothing because they didn't even use it. They were fine on their own. So
Yeah,
so then we go to another flashback. This is Chloe as a rookie getting yelled at by another cop until Dan intervenes, and it turns out the guy was just hazing her and giving her a hard time. But Dan shows her around, and this kind of gives a hint as to how like Dan and Chloe came to be a couple, right? They just have like they have chemistry together, I guess. And she stops and looks at a plaque with her dad's name on it, and Dan tells her that, oh, you know, your dad was a legend around here, even though he didn't actually know him. So
which is probably good because then, Dan would be, you know, there's some time has passed in between these things. We're led to believe.
Chloe's looking at the file on her dad's murder in the evidence lab when the Dans arrive, and this is where Lucifer calls him Lucy Dan, and then he changes to Douchifer.
Has a better ring. Yeah.
And Chloe is like, "Why are you guys dressed the same?"
The way because she has been so focused on her own weird
Focused,
stuff, and it's like this is the first time she has looked at them and been like,
yeah, because she
what?
was talking to them earlier when they were dressed like this, and she just didn't
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
But Dan updates her and tells her that the bank account that they were talking about earlier was traced to a bathhouse in Pico. I was like, "Oh my god, Pico!"
It's at Crystal's house, and
Yes, I am a front for the Russian mob.
I always wondered.
But they show her a record for Boris Sokolov and say that no one's ever been able to get close to him before. Dun dun dun. Next we go to Dan and Lucifer at the bathhouse in nothing but towels. And oh my god, this is the episode where Dan reveals that he's more cut than the devil.
Yes. And also where at this point Lucifer is trying to now do Dan's American accent,
Oh yeah.
and Dan
Yeah.
is like, "I don't want you to do this. I
And to
don't
be
sound like
fair,
that.
I don't like it either.
No, stop. It's wrong." And once again, we are grateful for the fact that Tom Ellis decided to not play Lucifer as American,
It,
because
it's so
it
funny
wouldn't have been
because
the same.
somebody started a thread on the CIA subreddit and they're like, "Does anyone else get jump scared by Tom Ellis talking in an American accent?" And I was just like, "Yeah, me."
Mhm.
But I mean, he doesn't. His character speaks in a British accent, but he does have to speak because the show takes place in the U.S. So
Yeah.
sometimes he does have to speak in an American accent, and it always just jars me. I'm just like, oh.
Who are you?
It's not as bad, but still a little shocking. But Dad is telling Lucifer, okay, no one's ever been able. He spooks really easily, so like basically telling him to go gentle. And of course, Lucifer just goes, Boris!
Boris!
So at the lab, the warden brings over Joe Fields' belongings, and Ella's watching at the door while Chloe goes through it, and she realizes, oh, this is actually not my case. I'm not supposed to be looking into this. But Ella offers to help, and she says that she already pulled her dad's last 6 months of paperwork, and like, they bring it in, and she's so grateful that she hugs her, and they start going over everything. And then Ella mentions that, Joe Fields had everything he needed to go away for the murder, including the murder weapon. So I guess maybe Boris, his standards fell over the years. He did not prepare Rodney Lamb. Then we go back to the bathhouse. Lucifer's pitching himself to Boris. Boris like, I am a human lie detector.
Lucifer's like, I am an angel lie detector.
But I mean, so Lucifer was supposed to be trying to make a deal with Boris. He's basically trying to get him to admit that he helps frame people to cover up murders for people who want to kill people. He names his target. He wants to kill Lucifer Morningstar. He says that, he starts laying out all the issues that he's been struggling with, that he's hurting the people he cares the most about. And Boris tells him, okay, go kill this Lucifer and I'll find you a patsy. And that's enough to arrest him, because next
I love how Boris is like, you both have great hatred for this man. Because Dan is like chiming in too. And it's like, they do.
I do wonder if they had written in anything about Dan noticing his scars, because he's standing behind Lucifer, and they make a point of showing that you can still see Lucifer's scars on his back. So they're like right where Dan can see them. So he must notice it. But it's he doesn't actually mention it. I'm just wondering if maybe he does and they cut it or something. So Boris, now fully clothed, thank God. there was a point where he was like shifting around. I was like, oh, it looks.
No one wants to see that, Boris.
We're getting a little close to seeing a little too much.
This is still on Fox, okay?
But Chloe's interviewing him, and she basically threatens him. She's like, I am not a police officer. I am a daughter, and I'm going to make your life hell if you don't point me in the right direction. And he tells her that her dad was sniffing around where he shouldn't have been. And when she's like, well, but my dad was killed in a robbery. And he just smiles at her. And so this is something that I got a little confused about, unless I missed it, because I didn't really understand what Perry Smith's deal was, like what he was doing. But we can get to that when we get to it. So next we go to Lucifer. He's fiddling with things on Dan's desk, including a bobblehead. Do you know who the bobblehead was of?
No.
Was it just a police bobblehead? Or some kind of figure.
Well, yeah, it's Dan's Dan bobblehead.
He even takes his hand grip and he's like playing around with it, and Dan approaches and he tells him, oh, that was good work. And he's talking about the bathhouse, like getting Boris to basically implicate himself so that they could arrest him. And he's like, I didn't know that you could lie so convincingly. And he's like, well, it's easy. I didn't lie.
I wasn't lying.
Dan's just so confused. He's like, what?
It's like, you have issues. And Lucifer's like, obviously. What do you think this is all about?
But like Lucifer's like, I can't figure out your secret. And Dan's like, I don't have one. And it's true. He's just himself, right? He's just trying to get through life. So
just danning his way through life. The thing I have to say I think is funny, because earlier in the episode we saw Dan using the like hand grip, and he was like, it was slow, and then Lucifer's just like like it's nothing. And Dan's kind of looking at him like
So Chloe comes over and she's like, I think my dad's murder was a hit. And Dan offers to help, but she declines again. And so next we go back to the apartment again, and Maze looks upset. Chloe has like all her dad's paperwork, which I would like to say is the paperwork that Ella got for her. Because she says, oh, when my dad died, they gave us all his paperwork from his desk. I was just like,
Mhm.
why would they do that? They're not gonna
Whoops.
give you they're not gonna give a family department records.
No. Here's all the stuff Dad was working on. Random civilians.
So yeah, that didn't make any sense. She should have said that this is what like Ella pulled for her or something. Because come on,
Yeah.
Ella did it for her. She even gave her a hug for it. Don't take away her
Continuity.
credit.
Yeah.
But Chloe's like, "Oh, what job did you apply for this time?" She says, "Topless maids," and she was fine with it until she learned that she actually had to do some cleaning.
It's not what I want at all.
But Chloe says, my dad always told me that he didn't want to be a detective, and yet he was doing so much detective work. But she doesn't like detail what he was looking into, right? So this is
No.
the part that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So, which I don't think they explain. So then we go to the beach. Lucifer is following Dan into, I think, a theater, and then he's horrified to find out that Dan is doing improv. I
Mhm.
love, I love what he says, where he's like, "Better to have been clown porn." What the hell is clown porn? I was like, "Oh my god."
We don't wanna know. We don't wanna know. I don't wanna know. Uh,
Oh my goodness. But he watches as Dan does an imitation of him, and everyone's laughing, and Lucifer gets really upset. He's like, he like loudly objects, and then after the class, he confronts him, and he's back to calling him Detective Douche. He is Lucifer again. He's mad because he doesn't like being mocked. But I like that Dan
this
pushes back.
absurd caricature. Like,
But yeah, Dan's like, my name is Dan or Detective Espinoza. I like that he actually stands up to him finally.
yeah. It won't
Um,
stick, but we
yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
the
But and he's also like, why are you so mad at me for like making fun of you when you've been making fun of me for the last couple of days, right? Um, but I like their heart to heart because they start like talking like Lucifer's like, your life is so simple, and Dan's like, well, your life is so simple, you don't have any responsibilities. And I don't know, I just the fact that they could actually talk it out, and Lucifer doesn't reveal himself fully because of what has just happened with Linda, but they do still manage to come to some
well,
kind of
I think they start to realize that there are lots of things different about themselves, but they have some stuff in common too, and
yeah,
they've been jealous of each other in some ways, I
yeah.
think.
But just the fact that they can sit together and laugh about it, I don't know, it was really nice. And there's a little scene at the end where Dan's like, "Don't tell Chloe," and Lucifer mimes zipping his lips and throwing away the key. And did you notice that Dan pretends to catch the
Yes,
key?
yes.
It's so funny too because Lucifer had called it like miming. He's like, "It's not mime, it's improv."
Yeah.
And then he goes and does this. So Lucifer arrives at Chloe's apartment and Maze is at the door. He's back in his own clothes, and Chloe notices. She's like, "Oh, back to you, huh?" And
She's
Lucifer
such a
gets,
mom. She's
I know.
just like she just looks at him like, "Oh, okay, well, you've gone through whatever you were going through that made you dress up like Dan. Okay, we're fine. All right."
Lucifer is a little excited by Maze's outfit, but then she snaps at him because she's like, "You lost me my only friend." He's like, "Huh?" And he's just like, "Oh, I was just trying to work through some stuff." And he didn't think that Linda was going to react like that. And Maze is just like, "Well, yeah, I just wish you'd think about someone else than yourself for once." And as they're like arguing, she tells Chloe to just stop because she needs his help. She needs her partner. So
I will say that this is a teeny bit of a nitpickle for me because Lucifer did know that Linda was probably not gonna handle it well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he didn't he wasn't just working through some stuff. It was a bit of a he's bearing his soul, and he knew that she was probably not gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, you're the devil, that's fine."
Yeah, because everyone else has just reacted by either going crazy or screaming their bloody lungs out,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly, beating their heads against the wall, like, it's fine, or jumping off a building.
Uh-huh,
There was
uh-huh.
that one too. Yeah, so, um, yeah, it's just a funny little moment where I was like, I don't know if I buy that he buys that."
Oh, I don't think Maze buys it either.
No.
She she's just like, "No." But so Lucifer goes in to help her, and he mentions, "Oh, you said earlier that Joe feels smile at you outside the prison." He's like, why if he killed your dad, why would he smile at you?" And so that causes Chloe to look up the fingerprints that Ella had found, and says that because Ella had said earlier that all the prison personnel were cleared, but she's like, "Oh, why would the warden's fingerprints be on that van?" So she theorizes that he wasn't smiling at her; he was smiling at the warden, who she was just so happened to be talking to outside right there, which explains why they were standing
I
right there
like
when they walked by.
Yeah, I like how, like, this is one of those moments where they let Lucifer be competent in his
Yeah,
own way,
yeah.
and I like that because I think occasionally, especially later on, there's, like, he's sometimes not shown as competent as he can be. But especially and this is part of, like, what's so good about season 2, I think, in general, is that he does know sort of what he's doing, and he's not quite as, Lucifer-y, playing things for, you know, laughs or whatever, as he becomes later. And so he gets to be competent, and she sees the competence, and then I actually believe them when she says that she wants her partner, because he does notice things that maybe she doesn't, and it's good character.
Yeah, and I like how like you said, it's sometimes pretty seamless how he contributes, that it's believable. Whereas a lot of times I noticed, like while we're doing Castle Unit, the things that Castle gets to like hone in on, it's just like things that the regular detectives would have easily figured out. So it's
Yes.
clear that they just gave him this just so that he could look like he's the
Mhm.
smart guy. He's the one to figure it out, kind of thing. And so it's not as seamless in Castle as it is in Lucifer.
And it also kind of plays to the same thing that, we mentioned earlier, which is that Lucifer Lucifer does notice things and does remember things, even when he sometimes fails to put that he doesn't necessarily react to it at the right time in the right way,
He
but,
stores it
you know,
though.
he stores it, and then it comes out and you're like, "Oh, yeah, he did hear Chloe when she said this." It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
took a while to percolate before it could come out in a helpful
He
way.
had to get through all the self-absorbed thoughts first.
He did, and there are a few of those, so, it can take almost the whole episode sometimes to get there.
Okay, so that's no way to say. So this is what I've been like I said, this is what I've been talking about. Like she looks up the warden, and she's like, "Oh, he used to be a prison guard 20 years ago," and she's like, "This is our guy," and I was like, "Well, guy for what?" It's just like, did I miss like a whole scene where like they explain what this guy is doing, and how did John Decker get onto him? What did he have on him? It's like all this stuff is missing.
I
Um,
think I think what it is, and it is like I mean, partly it's because I've seen this episode a few times now, but also, because it comes back in a later season.
uh,
We get a later episode in this season, I think? I can't remember. Basically, it's prison warden guy has been running like you know, he's been working with the mob, with the Russian mob the whole time, and, like, getting people to do stuff for him both inside and outside of prison.
hmm.
Yeah, and then as people for example, as Decker got too close, it was like, gonna have to take you out for the mob,
Yeah. Yeah.
because later the mob will come back to haunt him.
And Dan and
Yeah.
Maze.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
But yes, there's a lot of leaping. There's a lot of leaping to like, "Oh,
yeah.
what?"
Yeah, there's stuff missing. I think they probably would have like they possibly filmed it and it just got cut in the
Mhm.
edit or something. But she's like ready to go get him, and Lucifer's like, "Well, actually, wait, wouldn't Dan be better in this case?" Because and it's kind of cute that he has reined in his self absorption enough to know that maybe now is the time for the calm, cool, collected detective guy. And
Mhm.
obviously he's already shed his Dan persona because they've worked it out.
Mhm.
But she's like, if we're gonna go take this guy down, I need my partner, and you're my partner. And the look on his face, right?
Mhm.
It's like acceptance. He just feels so good, I think.
Yes. It's what
Because
he
that's what he's
it's
been struggling with is that
Mhm.
Linda saw his face and didn't accept him, even though they're close and they've been,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it's what he most wants to hear and
Yeah.
needs to hear, and then that becomes a parallel at the end of the episode.
Yeah, because I mean, he wants to not just be accepted like in
Mhm.
general. He wants to be accepted for who he is, right? So
Mhm.
the fact that she wants Lucifer specifically for this is
Mhm.
what makes him feel good. But when they get to the prison, Dan's like, "Well, sorry, he's gone."
Whoops.
So they go back to her apartment and she's upset. She thinks she's a failure. And Lucifer's like, well, no, I mean, now you know the truth and now you just got to find him. She's like, yeah, she's basically telling him all the ways that she's like having him hunted down. Um,
Lucifer's like, "I don't know what any of that means,
By
but"
the way, I think I actually learned it for this show. You hear Chloe talk about, I put out a bolo. And
Mhm.
so I think when I was, because Lucifer was, I think, my first like procedural, where I was like paying attention to the terms and things, because I was watching Law and Order for years before this, but I don't know if I ever picked up on the term bolo. But bolo means be on the lookout, for people who
Yes.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so she's about to go back into her apartment when they hear muffled screaming inside. And they
Mhm.
go inside, and
Which, to be
Maze,
fair, Maze is her roommate. She may
yeah.
be thinking about the sex swing in the living room at that point.
But she does draw her gun just in case.
Mhm. Mhm.
But Maze has the warden tied up, and Chloe's like, "What happened?" She's like, "Oh, I was bored, so I went and I tracked him down, and that it just felt right." And I love that they bring the two storylines full circle at the same point, because Maze has been looking. I mean, Chloe has been looking for her dad's murderer. Maze has been looking for her perfect job, and it all comes together in this moment. She's like, "This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to be a bounty hunter," and I just love that, the way that they
And the
bring it
fact that
together.
it's framed as being true to yourself, which then Chloe is immediately tested with,
Yeah, yeah,
because, the devil and demon on either shoulder.
yeah. So much punishment. The way that he terms it too, he's like, "Order off menu for once."
Mhm.
But I mean, Chloe gets her close up emotional moment. She tells him that you tore apart my family, and he actually laughs at her and says that her father wouldn't drop it, so that's why he killed him. That causes her to pull her gun on him. He offers her a bribe, saying he'll offer all of the players in his operation, and he offers her money, and she's just like, "I just want you to know that John Decker's kid got you." Which is very Chloe of her.
It very much is. She's the angel in the angel devil
Yeah.
situation that's happening. She has to be the angel on her own shoulder. I have to say the most hilarious part is watching Maze's face behind her, because Maze wants her to just slaughter the guy.
Yeah.
Like, just
Or at
she's
least
just
beat his
like,
ass,
"Duh,
right?
do it." And we do, like, there is a moment where we're like, "Ooh, what's Chloe gonna do?" Because she is
She's
very
very
angry
emotional.
and
Yeah.
very emotional. Yeah,
But did you
but
notice
she's true
how
to herself.
yeah. Did you notice how the guy, the warden was tied up? Like Maze had completely taped down his hands like in like giant balls around his fists.
He's
she
going nowhere. Nowhere.
she had him securely adhesed to that like
Yeah,
stuck to that
I
chair.
don't think you need that is gonna cut into your your expenses if you have to go through that much duct tape every time.
I know,
You
and I was like, surely Maze has handcuffs, right?
we know that she has handcuffs and ropes and chains and, strappy sex swing. So,
Maybe she was just like, this would be funnier.
I
I'm
think
gonna
so.
just I'm gonna just tape him to Kingdom Come.
Mhm. Good luck getting out of that one, buddy.
You're gonna have to cut him out.
Yeah.
So next we go to Linda's and Maze is knocking on the door and she's so excited. She's like, I got
She's
my
so cute.
first I know she's so cute. She's like, I got my first paycheck. She's like, hunting humans is a job. We knew. And it's so funny how like you kind of don't really pay attention to like what could be a good job for her. You just notice that she's like going for all the wrong jobs and it's
Oh,
just like
absolutely.
but then when she lands on this one, it's like, oh my god, of course, this is perfect for me. And so I love this part of the episode where she's like, I finally found my perfect job. I'm doing what I love, which is what Trixie had told her.
I'm being true to myself, wrapping a guy's hands in duct tape.
But Maze tells her that the first thing I wanted to do was celebrate with my friend. And like the
And
way that
Trixie is her other friend, and she's not old enough to celebrate that
yeah,
way,
yeah.
so, you know.
But the way that they played this scene out was really good. Like the way that she just casually like slides the check back out like as a
Mhm.
rejection. It's like so sad and yet it's just such a small little action and I don't know, it just spoke volumes and why do I hear so much thumping? Is my neighbor upstairs just moving?
It's probably the sex swing.
There's a prison warden
Although
upstairs taped to a chair.
that's right.
Linda actually opens the door, and I like the way that but before she opened the door, I liked the way that they filmed it, where you could see the two of them. Like our view is like from the middle of the wall, and we see the
Mhm.
two of them on either side of the door. I really like that the way that was
You
framed.
wanna build a snowman? Because
But yeah, so Linda opens the door and she's like, "You're a demon and Lucifer's a devil. How can we possibly be friends?" And Maze tells her, "We're all still the same people, so what's the difference?" I like what she's like, "Let me buy you a drink and maybe I'll devour your soul or something." It's so Maze.
it's one of my favorite lines of this whole episode because it's just so, like, "Maybe I'll die." Because you know, we have just seen her tape a guy to a chair and
Yeah,
be
yeah.
very keen on his death, but when it comes to Linda, she's just like, "Oh, Linda, you're my friend."
And Linda's actually like coming out, she's like
Mhm.
maybe open to it, and so she's just like she just throws this back at her. It's almost like a test, like, oh, you're kind of warming up to me again, but hey, I'm gonna throw this in and
And
possibly scare you.
the look on Linda's face is kind of like this mix of like, "Oh, you are the same person."
Error.
And like,
Is
I
she
was
joking?
probably I should probably have been scared of you before actually, but, you know.
So next we go back to the apartment again. Chloe's cooking sandwiches. Oh my god, I love this scene because
Mhm.
she's handing the sandwich to Trixie, but Lucifer snatches it. He's like, "I'm far larger and far hungrier," and Trixie says, "It's fine. He must have really wanted it," and he's just so irritated because I guess she's taken all the joy out of his stealing her sandwich because he just
Yes.
throws it down.
Yeah. He's like, if you point it out. And it's like
And
in this, he was trying to annoy Trixie in
yeah.
this, and she's just like, I'm not annoyed, Lucifer. It's fine.
And he says the same thing that Chloe basically said earlier, right? He's like, "Does she always have to be so her?" And like earlier, Chloe had said, "You're too you." Trixie hops down and she startles Lucifer. I think she was gonna hug him, right?
She was. I went back and watched it like 5 times just to see.
Oh, what are you doing? He throws his hands up and she just gives him a high five and runs off. She's
Yeah.
so cute. Oh my god. I love like just the way she yells it, bye Lucifer.
And he's like, yes, get away from me.
But oh, this scene is so touching because he turns to Chloe and he's like, "Well, I don't really like my dad, but you clearly like yours, and he'd be proud of you." And when she starts to cry, he's like, "Oh God, what have I done now?"
Here I am hurting again. Oh my God.
But she tells him to just shut up, and she goes in for a hug, and he looks so surprised, but he just holds her, and I like the way that he just kind of like rests his head on her head. It's
And he's
so
got a
cute.
little smile on his face.
Yeah, like a he's just like, "Oh, this is nice."
Hmm. And it's such, like I said earlier, that's such a nice parallel where, when she says, you're my partner, that's what he most needs to
Yeah.
hear in that moment. And then when he tells her, I, if I were your dad, I'd be proud of you, kind of thing, because she said she felt like a failure and all this stuff. And it's like the
Yeah.
thing she most needs to hear is like, if he, you would make your dad proud, and probably in ways that perhaps the Hot Tub High School 15 minutes in wasn't peak parental pride. Yeah. And that
But
she initiates the contact is
yeah.
obviously means a lot to him, and it's just like, "Oh, you guys,
Yeah,
you're
because
so."
without speaking, she's saying that that's what she needs. She needs him to
Mhm,
hug her, right? So,
mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just another level of acceptance that he gets to enjoy.
Yes.
And it feels really good for him, right? Because we get
Mhm.
to see we get to see his the look on his face as he goes through this realization, and it's really nice. It feels really good.
Well, and especially since, the last 3 episodes, have
You're
been a real
struggling.
he's been a toil on poor Lucifer, and a lot of rejection, and a lot of being, doing the wrong thing and hurting people and all of that stuff. And so to end on a hug, which feels, I think he's felt pretty unloved and unlovable right up till
Mhm,
that point.
mhm. To the point where he's actually going to Dan to help work out his
Yes.
issues.
Though not so unloved that he is willing to accept a hug from the Spawn, we should note. He still doesn't want the sticky young child to hug him, because
Well,
that's weird.
what does Maze describe how does Maze describe children earlier?
Oh,
She describes right? She says
yeah,
something.
about, yes, I can't,
Something about she calls him filthy or something and says at least
yes,
at least kids are smaller.
yes.
All right, our rewatches. Couch watch, no couch update. Even though we're in Linda's, we get to see scenes in Linda's office. I don't think we actually get to see her couch, but I'm assuming it's the same couch.
No,
Uh,
she's up against the door the whole time, so.
yeah. No updates to Devil Face. The title line in this one is said by John Decker. Because and I guess basically Chloe adopted the nickname and gave it to Trixie too, because she calls her
Mhm.
Monkey too. Chest hair watch. He has since manscaped completely since his
Hi
zombie
his
hair.
fall. He's
uh,
taken care of himself again. We're
yes,
all,
yes. Runner up titles.
I my favorite one that I came up with was, the Mies advocate.
Yeah, that was good. I like that one.
When he's like,
Yeah,
"I'm just gonna
yeah.
play the Mies advocate."
I love when he says stuff like that. It's
Me
so
too,
funny.
every time.
It's so clever. So other alternates I had were the department bottom, the school of Dan, Lucifer, and I also had the Mies advocate.
Nice. Me's advocate.
Okay. No pickles on Pickle Watch. So
No, no pickles.
Lucy
But many
Tunes.
sandwiches, guys. Many sandwiches.
Lucy Tunes. There were a few really good ones. There's "You Get What You Give" by the New Radicals. That was during the initial flashback scene with John Decker. There's "Father Jesus" by Facine, which is when John is murdered. There's "Gout" by Hot Bodies in Motion. This was at the Pink's location. "Catch Me If You Can" by Desert Bell, which is when Lucifer's following Dan to his improv class. And then "Low Lays the Devil" by the Veils, which is the ending scene with the sandwich and the hug and everything. The good, the bad, and the crispy. So my good is when Lucifer is on the phone with Chloe, he says, "I'm going to learn how to douche." I may have to rephrase that one.
Yeah, you may. I think my good is the moment between, I mean, it's all of Linda's acting when it comes to Maze, but especially the moment when Maze is like, "Oh, I'll eat your soul," and she's just like, "Oh, okay."
Okay, bad. My bad is why can't okay, so we've been talking a lot about this special sandwich, but Chloe can't seem to let Trixie enjoy her sandwich.
I have the same bad, actually. Like, it infuriates me every t you
I
just gave the child
You
a
just
sandwich.
gave it. She bites into it. She's like, "Oh, this is so good." She's like, "Okay, go do your homework." It's like- I mean, she does take the sandwich with her, but then the second time she hands her the sandwich, and then she's like, "Okay, go get dressed." It's like, what? She's wearing clothes. What are you talking about? Let her eat
Let
it.
let her eat her sandwich.
You just spent all this time making the sandwich for her, and you're gonna tell her to go eat it in her room. Ugh, it's just
Like, and she doesn't give her a plate or anything, so, those are definitely sticky,
buttery hands everywhere.
buttery, oily fingerprints all over. Like, think about your own cleaning needs there. Like, I know, I hate when it's one of my peeves with everything. It's like, it's always the TV timeline where it's like, you just got a glass of wine, and then they're like, "Well, we're leaving," and I'm like, "You just paid, like, $20 for a glass of wine. Finish the wine." Or they sit down in a classroom, and it's like, "Today we're talking about the bell rings," and you're like, "Since when are classes 2 minutes long? Like, come on now." Like, yeah. "Here's your sandwich, go." I need to have a heart-to-heart moment with Lucifer here,
I
and
have to
you are
hug
in the
him.
way.
Ah. My crispy is Dan and Lucifer's heart to heart. I just really liked that. I thought it was such a good scene between the two of them. It was really nice. It was a good way to round out their whole Dan Lucifer adventure.
Mhm. And many a fanfic was born. Yeah. Mine is actually Lucifer and Chloe's heart to heart at the end, but I have to give special mention to the entire exchange between Lucifer and Trixie too, because it just cracks me up so much that he is so bleh, it's touching me.
And just
And
the way
she
she's so childishly oblivious. She's just like, bye.
and totally, it's like, the thing I love about Trixie is, like, she has decided from the first minute that she meets Lucifer that she likes him and they're
They're
friends,
friends,
whether
yeah.
he agrees to it or not. And so no matter what he does, she always, like, turns it into something like, he flinches away from the hug and puts his hands up, so she's like, "Yeah, high five."
High five.
And it's just adorable because I feel like
No matter how much
there's
he
some
resists,
yeah,
they're gonna be friends.
and it is what he needs, actually. Like,
Yeah.
he needs the kind of, you know, childlike love of a kid to just be like, "Hey, it's okay that things are bad, and I'm here, and I'm gonna give you a hug when you need one," and he's like, "Ew, gross, don't touch me," until it's Chloe, then he's like, "Oh, you can give me a hug, though, it's alright." Yeah, and then, yeah, that whole the just that he has a moment that is very much not self-absorption, where he's trying very hard to, comfort her, and then he thinks he's got it totally wrong, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love when they play with that dynamic because it's what really works with them.
Yeah, because I mean his problems with self-esteem are a part of what make him so endearing, right? Because
Yes.
he comes across, and this is what they address too with Dan, is that Lucifer comes across as so confident and so cocky, and yet he's jealous of Dan, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dan is
He's
jealous of
jealous of
him.
the fact that
So
Dan says the right thing and does the right thing, and Lucifer feels like he doesn't ever say the right thing or do the right
yeah,
thing. He's always
yeah,
like,
he just hurts people. That's just
yeah,
yeah,
even when he really, really doesn't want to, you
yeah.
know? Which again is like this nice bit of character fallout from killing his own brother, which he didn't want to do, but
Which he mentions to Dan. He doesn't tell him
mhm,
specifically, but he does mention it. He says
yeah,
that he
my
hurts
own
his own
flesh and
flesh
blood.
and blood. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back with a new Lucy quiz. Okay, we're back with a new Lucy quiz. The way this works is I'm going to ask Tara 6 questions about the episode we just discussed, and you'll all have 5 seconds to come up with an answer. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is the second job that Maze interviews for?
Is it not the topless maid?
Yeah, it's Topless Maid.
Okay. I was like, there could have been others in there. I don't know.
All right, question 2. Where was John Decker murdered?
In Koreatown.
Yeah, very good. Okay. And question 3. What year was he killed?
Mm, I don't remember.
So this appears twice. Once is on the statement that they look at, and once on the
Mhm.
plaque on the wall. And so he died in the year 2000.
Mm. I I almost went back and paused on the plaque because I knew that you would ask this, and I didn't, and I regret it.
Wait, I mean, you're lucky. I almost asked what day he died on, which was July 27th.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 4. What kind of hot dog does Rodney Lamb get?
Oh, it's a I wrote that down. It's like a chili cheese dog or something.
It's a nacho burrito dog.
Nacho burrito dog. Oh, there
So
I
I
didn't look
I
back far enough.
I went and I googled because I thought, oh, is that a real menu item? And they have a bacon burrito dog, but they don't have a nacho burrito dog. Maybe it was like a special thing. But if you look at that scene when he hands the hot dog and Lucifer takes it, you can actually see nacho chips on the hot dog.
Just wanna state for everybody who can't see the camera here that I did have that written down right here, nacho burrito dog.
All right, question 5. According to Lucifer, what movie is better than Dan doing improv?
Oh.
Because he mentions snuff film, he mentions clown porn, and he mentions a movie.
Oh, yeah, the Human Centipede.
Yeah, there you go.
I also wrote that down. The notes are now, what do I think Crystal will ask me in the quiz?
That's totally what Karen and Neosha do too. They look at the agenda and they're like, "What has Crystal omitted from this thing?"
Yes. Yep.
Okay, question 6. What surname does Maze use?
Smith.
Yeah, there you go. And actually,
Isaac
this comes
Keane
back
Smith.
later in an episode title. So
an episode titled Mazikeen Smith.
Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
Okay. Miscellaneous news. Tom Ellis's new show CIA has been officially been renewed for season 2, so that's really nice to hear. They're currently on episode 5. Episode 6, I don't know how many episodes are going to be out this season. I'm assuming it's going to end in a couple of months, but yeah, nice to hear that they have enough numbers, that they've gotten renewed already. So any last thoughts?
No, I was when I went in to rewatch the last like 3 minutes 3 times, I had to go back and look at the episode titles, and then I remembered what good episodes are coming up, and I was very happy because really
Yeah.
we're just on like there's a whole kind of like arc that more or less carries through right till the mid-season, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so good.
And geez, we're like really getting through it. I mean, we're on episode 7 already. Time is
Mhm.
really flying by. Time
We're
flies when
coming
you're
for
having
you.
fun.
Episode 13, Tara's favorite of all time.
Okay, if you're enjoying Rom-Com Detectives, please consider taking a moment to leave us a review or rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. For our question of the week, you can leave us a comment on Spotify, YouTube, or Reddit and tell us whether you've ever made the John Decker sandwich yourself. I'm going to have to go and buy the ingredients and get it and make one.
Mhm.
If you'd like to join additional conversations about Lucifer, you can visit the Lucifer subreddit at reddit.com/r/Lucifer. To contact me and Tara, email us at host@romcomdetectives.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky at romcomdetectives, or leave us a voicemail or text message at 1-650-733-XOXO or 9696. This episode of Rom-Com Detectives was recorded on March 26, 2026. Rom-Com Detectives Lucifer Unit is co-hosted by Kristen Watanabe and Tara Avery and is produced by People's House. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next time for our breakdown of Trip to Stabby Town.
Some of these episode titles are so good.
It just sounds so Lucifer, right?
Mhm. It really is. And it's a good episode, so
Yeah. All right. Bye.
bye.